Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sumi and I'm the owner and illustrator of the Mochi Cloud. And today I just wanted to talk about a method that I use when I'm extremely overwhelmed with things that I want to do. And it is basically planning in my Hobonichi weeks using sticky notes. And I just wanted to say that this is not a new method. If you are in the IT service industry or any sort of professional services industry, you might have heard about this in your Scrum Agile methodologies. And it is called the Kanban board. And basically what it does is allow you to visualize all the tasks that you have to see in one view. And you are able to move tasks along the way depending on priorities. So I have with me this Post-it brand sticky notes. This is something that I purchased from Amazon. It has a bunch of really tiny sized Post-it notes. And the best thing about this is it comes in the colors that I'm actually looking for. Let me give you a really basic understanding of what the Kanban board is. It literally means to see something, like see an item or see a card, basically. And technically speaking, when you are working with a team, you usually have like a bunch of tasks that you need to do, and especially if you're in like an operations kind of work, you have tickets coming in and you have like a backlog of tickets that you need to do. And depending on the priority of those tickets, you will move them across its life cycle and finish the task. Now, since we have the Hobonichi here, I thought that it would make sense for me to show you how I like to do this occasionally when I'm feeling really overwhelmed with tasks that I want to do. So I have my sticky notes arranged by the colors that I'm going to indicate. I have a red, which I'm going to indicate as a high priority, a light blue that indicates that it is something that I do need to do, but it is not as urgent as the red. And the yellow indicates something that's probably in progress, or I'm just waiting on somebody to give me something related to the task that I need to do, but it's generally something that has already been started and needs to move along. And the last one technically does not need to be here, but this is just to keep a track of all the tasks that I have done along the way. So I will show you two methods of how to use this. Now, the first thing that you do need to do is list down everything in your brain that you have to figure out for moving along, the task that you need to move along. You can list that in a page, or it just might be somewhere else. And I like to, list it down on the paper itself. So I can use this sticky note, which is tiny enough to stick right here. Or what I like to do is basically take this and use a scissor to make tiny flags that I can stick along. And it doesn't have to be pretty. I just do this when I have way too many things to do. So this is not my regular way of planning things. But if you have things that you need to do and you are on a tighter schedule and you need to figure out how to move them along, I would definitely recommend doing something like this. Okay, so I have most of my page flags in the order that I want. What I like to do, like I mentioned, is have my higher priorities first, my lower priorities second. This is just an indication of how many things I have in progress and basically what is completed. What I also would definitely recommend, if you are somebody who has trouble writing down things in your paper planner and striking them out. I'm not somebody like that. This is a planner that I write however I want to. I strike things out, I cross them off. I even use stickers to cover them up if I'm not very much, picky on certain things. So, but if you are somebody who does not like errors on your pages, I would definitely recommend putting a backlog somewhere separate, and you can use a larger sticky note for that, or you can just write it on this paper with a pen such as, the Pilot Friction, which you can erase later on if you know that you've made a mistake. Let's say that I have a backlog ready and I have items that I have particular dates assigned for, and I know that I need to get all of them done before a particular date. Now here comes the part where you pick things and move them along. So let's assume that, a real world scenario, I'm actually going on vacation next month, and I would like to stick to my YouTube schedule that I have going on, which is at least one video a week. And I know that from the looks of it, even though I want to film stuff on my vacation, it's highly likely that I don't do that. So I'm gonna have to pre-film a lot of videos, and I'm going to assign a date for it. So we're gonna say 1/20 is the last day for me to film all the videos. And I would say editing all pre-filmed videos is my second item. There are certain purchases that I need to do before traveling. So purchases, I'm gonna say 1:30 is the last that I need to do. I also am trying to make it a habit to leave a review if I have purchased from a small business. Now, when I am generally doing this, I would break down each of these into smaller components. So pre-filming videos mean if I'm going on a vacation for a month, and if I'm planning to upload at least one video every week, I need to film 4 videos. So I would then need to go on and figure out what are the 4 videos that I'm filming, and then start filming each of those. And as and when I'm completing the item, I would just move them along. So let's say, for argument's sake, we're just going to say video 1. And you could do this in 2 ways. Now, when you have started filming your video 1, you can either take this card, this flag right here, and move it to this section, which indicates that you have picked a higher priority task and you have moved it to, the video 1. Or there is another way to do it is, since you have already started doing this, you can say video 1 and put it on the yellow flag indicating that it has been pulled into your tasks. If you do want to, write it on this yellow flag, you will then need to indicate whether it was a high priority task or whether it was something that you picked from a lower priority. So if you're doing it, on the yellow page flag, it would be difficult for you to figure out which one it was if you are discarding this. So what I would generally do if you are using a method like this is to indicate with a color code that you have started video 1, which is in red, which was a higher priority task. If you had picked a lower priority to start working on, then you would have indicated it with a different color, maybe a blue or a green. But personally, I would just I would use this same flag and move it along. It will be much more easier for me to figure it out this way. And as and when, let's say you have completed filming video 1, you can just move it to your last, column right here indicating that it has been completed. It would be more simpler if you had, lines to guide you. So if you had a line right here that said this is, you will be able to figure out, what is completed. This says what's completed. This tells you that it's in progress. This is your low priority, and this is your high priority. I'm just writing it for the sake of writing. And you could also have your backlog sitting somewhere in this column. And this is where I would like to, talk a little bit about the second method that I'm more, I feel like it's more visually pleasing, I would say. So let's take all of these sticky notes and move to the next page. So the second method that you can use with sticky notes is very similar to the first method. It's just that you're changing the layout, and this is why I like the Hobonichi weeks. The notes pages are really faint enough that you can actually flip the book altogether and make this horizontal. So this would actually give you a better writing experience, or maybe a visual experience, because you are seeing this at a larger scale. And you would, in this particular method, what you would do is you would have your backlog on one page, or probably half of the one page, and you can assign a lot more information regarding that particular task on your backlog page, because it has a larger writing space. So what I mean by that is we have this line right here. I'm sorry if my head is in frame. And I have, the item that I think is that I need to do. We're going to assign a priority to it. So depending on what your priority is, you can say 1, 2, 3, 1 being the highest. Or if you're just using, 2 colors, you can just say 2, so 1 or 2. And then you can have some notes about it. You can have information saying when it's required by, and anything else that you need to add. So there's enough space in here for you to write more. So I think that's why I prefer this layout being horizontal. So for example, I'm gonna say item priority, just to indicate the priority. Any notes I have or comments that I need to take care of. I have a date, required by, and I'll just fill, if I have more information that I need to fill, I can fill all of that there. So I'm really sorry about the eraser shavings, but you get the idea. So since I have this layout here, I understand that you may run out of space when you have a lot of things, but this is why, having something like the pilot friction can be helpful. You don't add more until you take off things. So you have enough items in your backlog or in your list that you can start, and depending on, how you want to take things forward, you assign a priority and figure out what you can get done as soon as possible, and you can pick other things along the way. And the same, the way that we move the cards along still remains the same. You will still have higher priority items, lower priority items, and things you are working on in progress, and then things that have been completed as and when you have finished it. And like I said, you can have the flag itself move along as you want. Another way of, if you were moving the flags along by yourself instead of writing it on these flags per se, you can use the yellow to indicate something else. So for example, let's say I started filming video 1. So I am picking up this particular item and moving it along the way, but I realized that I need somebody else's help to do video 1 a little better. So I might write something in the yellow page flag indicating that it is something that I need to reach out to somebody to help me, and So you can alternate the colors depending on what you need them for. An easier way to identify what you need is, can you get things done by yourself? If so, you can move the flags as it is. If you need somebody's help in accomplishing something, or if you're waiting on somebody to do something, you can probably assign that in, the yellow task, and you're definitely going to have to follow up. Now, I understand that this does not seem very, useful if you are having multiple people collaborating with you on some things, because if multiple people are collaborating with you on a particular project, then you're going to have to move this entire thing into a digital planner. But if you are somebody who is self-employed, and if you are someone who uses who plans stuff, who has a lot of projects planned, and you need to get a handle of how to do it, this kind of sticky note planning is not a bad idea, and it will give you a bird's eye view of what needs to be done and how quickly you need to get it done. And another thing that I did want to talk about is, this might not seem very efficient if you are taking your planner with you on places, to places everywhere, because the sticky notes do tend to, get messed up, or if your planner is not completely closed, like, you can see that it is a little open here. So if your planner is not completely closing, and if you're just throwing this into a bag, there is a chance that all these sticky notes get jumbled up. Some might just end up, on your bag itself, or or places that you don't want the sticky notes to end up. So those are some things to consider when you are using sticky notes to plan, which is also something that you have to think about. And I just wanted to give you, an overview of how this would look if you are planning in a planner and using sticky notes. So it is not for everybody. And like I said, this is not something that I use every day. There might be chances where, you are not able to do some of this. Like, if I end up with so many tasks, then it means that I'm going to have to pick something of the lower priority and move it out of the list, because I just don't have the time to do it. So that's the gist of it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please leave me any questions you have. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.